Something else reminded me today why Caitlin Clark should be on the Olympic team. Now, if you haven't heard me talk about this, the main reasons are not the business side of it, even though those obvious reasons are reasons alone as to why Caitlin Clark should be on the Olympic team, as well as Angel Reese. But Diana Taurasi is probably not going to play in another Olympics. So this is Diana's one chance, along with the other amazing players on the team, to mentor Angel and Caitlin. Now, the second main point that I've been talking about, and I've had discussions with former WNBA players who wholeheartedly disagree with me, and I respect their opinions, but I couldn't disagree more. The question is, do you want to elevate the game as quickly as possible without compromising the integrity of the league or the former players or the current players? Or do you just want to have who you think are the 12 best players, which I would disagree that the 12 best players are not on that team right now? Or do you want to advance the game? And the question is, in 20 years, when we look back, are we going to say that it was a mistake to have Caitlin on the team when the sport forever is globalized in a way that we've never seen before, and there would be no turning back because of this Olympics? Or would you look back and say, I'm so glad she wasn't on the team because we really wanted to have the 12 best players, and it set the league back 4 or 8 years because she had to wait for the next Olympics in Los Angeles, and she would not have the opportunity to be mentored as the torch is being passed by Diana Taurasi. Now, back to my earlier point. I don't know how many of you follow Taylor Swift. And am I comparing Caitlin Clark to Taylor Swift? Well, on some level, it is a reckoning. It is unlike anything we have ever seen before in women's sports, I would argue. And her not being on the Olympic team might be the second stupidest thing that I have ever seen in my entire life, besides Portland drafting Sam Bowie. But recently, in Ireland, Taylor Swift shouted out Stevie Nicks. Now, I would venture to say that most people do not know who Stevie Nicks is. She had a lot of famous songs, and she was navigating spaces that I didn't even understand when I was a kid as a woman that I can't even comprehend even to this day. And 2 of her more famous songs were Dreams and Landslide. And I loved those songs growing up. But I didn't know she inspired Taylor the way that she did and that she helped her all these years. Do you know that by mentioning Stevie Nicks, Taylor Swift not only recognized one of her mentors and someone who has inspired and helped her, but in an instant, there are now millions, if not tens of millions, if not more, people who had never heard of Stevie Nicks, who are now listening to her songs, who now know about Stevie Nicks and her unbelievable music that she did when it was way harder to do than it is now. That is what Caitlin Clark would do by being on the Olympics, is my contention. That she would bring instant awareness about the history of women's basketball. Not just her idols, Diana Taurasi and Maya Moore and others, but to all the incredible women of the original W, of the ABL, other women from the W who were the pioneers, and all the women currently who are playing, who most people wouldn't even know about if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Do you know how many times, this isn't just anecdotal, this isn't just an aberration when I talk about this stuff. Do you know how many times I have heard people say, I'm not only watching the WNBA and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, I've watched every game I'm going to games. I'm not a sports fan. And the same could be argued that there are people watching, from 80-year-old men and women to kids, Taylor Swift, because of her lyrics, because of who she is as a human, and the idea of all the arguments that Caitlin Clark is not prepared for international basketball, and that she would sit on the bench, and she's not ready. It's crazy to me. Do you want to advance the game or do you not? Do you want to literally bridge 27 years of the WNBA in a matter of a month, potentially? Like, I don't understand these blind spots. I don't understand it at all. And if Taylor Swift is not the example of what can happen and how we can accelerate things and make magic so quickly, it's a mistake. It is an enormous mistake to not have Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese on the team. And this notion that they want a month off to practice with their team and to have a break and to breathe and do other things. No, they don't. No, they don't. And stop talking about the All-Star game. They don't want to go play in the All-Star game together or against one another over the Olympics. Just stop it. So I am, again, standing 10 toes down, respect the women that I have discussed this issue with and everyone else's opinion, but I've not heard anybody talk about what I'm talking about in terms of the Taylor Swift effect and being a bridge and a vessel to get people to understand the history of women's basketball, more than 27 years, in a way that we've never seen before, that can be done very quickly. And it's not just those two, I might add. They may have jump-started this whole thing, but it's Rakia, it's Cameron, it's Alyssa Peely, Camilla, Aaliyah, Kate Martin. There are other rookies that are doing amazing things. Nika. I mean, the list goes on and on. And this is probably not relevant, but Caitlin is playing fantastic. I mean, she is just balling. So anyways, this is Hootie Hoot. Let me know what you think. But it was a mistake. It was staring them right in the face. This is the exception to the rule, if you want to call it that. This is the moment that the women of the WNBA have been waiting for, to help them get the respect and their flowers that they so richly deserve. And the best way to do that, and it is not compromising the integrity of the Olympic team or the league or the history of the game, by having Caitlin on that team. The best way to do that is to have Caitlin and Angel on that team. This is Hootie Hoot from the Sports Daily Podcast. Peace.